Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning to everyone. Thank you for watching. Today the topic for our discussion is the poverty from a Quranic perspective, or for our topic is, we can call it also poor from a Quranic perspective. So today we're going to discuss something that affects million lives every day, poverty, but through the lens of Quranic and Islamic teaching. Let's take a closer look from what Islam has to say about the critical issue and what we can learn from it. So, poverty from Islamic perspective. So, what poverty reminds us of? So, the first one is that when we think about poverty, the first thing that we think of is that there is a lack of money or lack of resources. But in Islam, poverty is more than just that. Poverty is basically a test from the Almighty, which is Allah, for those who have less and those who have more. So poverty can be affect for both poor and rich. So the Quranic, what does the Quran says about this? So the Quran says about this that helping others isn't just an act of kindness, but it is an obligation for the rich. It is a responsibility for the poor, and it's also about patience. This is where the concept like zakat and sadaqah comes in, where there are essential ways to guide us to support each other. So, what does it mean by what is the Islamic approach towards poverty? So, here I'm going to explain the brief understanding of zakat and sadaqah. So, the first one, zakat. What it means by zakat? So, zakat is basically one of the 5 pillars of Islam. It is an obligatory for all Muslims who can afford. It is a set of portion of your rules that goes directly to those who are in need. So basically, let's say the zakat rate is 2%, so it only takes 2% of your wealth to give. So what is the difference between zakat and sadaqah? Sadaqah is a voluntary charity. So it means that it is not compulsory to give to others, but it is voluntary. So that if you want to give a person, let's say $5, it is your own voluntary act. It is not an obligation, but it's a voluntary act. So for both zakat and sadaqah are meant to remind us. Okay, what does this remind us of? So this reminds us that the wealth in this world is temporarily, and it should be benefited by the community and not for our own self-desire or self-benefit of poverty towards the society. So, why is it important for us to know it? So, the first one is poverty isn't just an personal struggle. So, it is a social and economic one. When a large group of people live in poverty, it can create a ripple effect, which is less access to education, poor healthcare, fewer job opportunities, leading to unemployment increase, and it will eventually affect the government in terms of their government spending, and needed them to release a new type of policy. Let's say a fiscal policy where they increase the subsidy, which leads to increased government spending and possibility increase in the rate of tax. So this shows that when the economy slows down, for example, I give you, when the economy slows down, the economic growth will eventually fall and will eventually lead to a social unrest. So by addressing the poverty, we're not just helping the individual itself, but also our community stronger and more stable for everyone to live on. So if there's less poverty or no poverty in that economy, they will have less burden on the government, and less strain towards the economy, where they need to think of something how to provide for them, and let's say a policy, let's say a non-government organization, non-profit organization, let's say lah. So moving on, what is the hidden cost of poverty? So why is it important to know? So poverty can also drain the public resources, as I mentioned before. Government have to spend more on welfare, healthcare, and even crime prevention. So basically, more government spending lah. So increase in government spending leads to increase in tax. If the country has issued a tax, If let's say there's no issue of tax, then maybe they will increase the standard of living, or maybe on other parts of the economy. All of this diverts fund that could have been used to more that can be used to use on other part of the economy, like education, infrastructure, which can benefit everyone, but they're specifically focused towards the poverty side. So this cycle keeps repeating unless we have take a meaningful step to break it. So the cycle will continue to rotate using the same cycle over and over and over unless we try to break it lah. Poverty isn't just a problem for the poor, it is something that affects the whole society as a whole. Okay, what does Islamic provide? Does Islamic provide solution towards poverty? So Islamic solution to poverty is basically, fortunately, Islam provide a clear solution. So basically zakat, sadaqah and wakaf. So wakaf is basically something like you give that, let's say you donated you donate a wheelchair to charity, so that someone who is in need can make use of that use of the wheelchair for as long as it can be used and it's still good. So it is endowment for the public goods, aren't just banned for aid fix. They aim for long-term solution. So these three solutions, zakat, sadaqah and wakaf, is not only for the short-term period, it is for the long term. It can be used for, let's say it's not for 1 year or 2 years, it is for as long as it is applicable, then it will be used. So lastly, poverty as a test in the Quran. So basically in the Quran, poverty and wealth are seen as a test. So there are verses in the Al-Quran, such as Surah Al-Baqarah, that says, we surely test you with a measure of fear. Measure of fear, hunger and loss of wealth, life and fruits, but give good news to those who are patient. So what this means is that poverty and wealth are part of life trials. So for poor, it's about enduring with patience and faith. For the wealthy, it is about using the resources wisely and generous. Wealth distribution as a moral. For the other part is one of the most powerful message that Quran is that wealth is a trust. It is not something you own by personal gain or effort, but it is a responsibility that Allah gives towards you. And there's even a verse that says, poor have the right to a share of wealth of the rich. So when we give through zakat, we're not only just being charitable, but we're fulfilling a moral duty to ensure the society is balanced and just. And in conclusion, in Islam, poverty isn't as a curse, but it is seen as a challenge, a test of faith for poor, and a test of generosity for wealthy. The goal is to create a society where everyone's needs are met, where dignity is restored, and where wealthy isn't something that just separates us, but it connects us through a shared responsibility. By embracing zakat, sadaqah and wakaf, we're not only just helping the poor to survive, but we're giving them a tools to thrive. So basically improve their life. So to reclaim their dignity and rebuild a better future for themselves and their communities. That's all from me. My name is Muhammad Rizqullah bin Abdullah, 22B 1006, and I'm very thankful to everyone who's watching. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.